Hey y'all, it's Renegayde, and it's time to spill more Reali-Tea on all things Drag Race Philippines Slaysian Royale. The Ultimate Battle Royale is officially on, so make sure you like and subscribe for more, because you're not going to want to miss a single drop of content this season. On this episode, our Slaysians unleash their inner divas and leave us gagging in a show-stopping over-the-top musical. Who brings the house down and who just goes down? Let's talk about it. But before we begin, let me introduce my co-host, and while he's neither rich nor Slaysian, he's most definitely crazy. It's QuackrrJack.
Hey,
Mabuhay, Jack. How are you feeling
Mabuhay.
today after that amazing episode of such intrigue and drama? And honestly, we finally got some fun foreshadowing as well too, as like a storyline that was relevant came up again this episode, and it had an effect on the result. It was so good.
I loved it. I loved everything about this episode. I thought how much fun. I thought, wow, Wednesdays are really like my favorite day of the week because I get to watch this. Like it was all around just good, 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 good. Everything was good. Except for some
Yeah.
of those performances and one of the runways. But we'll get into that.
hmm I was gonna say, like, our big question last week was whether or not, especially with Arizona Brandy up for elimination, was if someone was gonna take a shot at her, right? Especially if one of the top two queens that maybe didn't win the lip sync and still had to reveal their lip sync. In particular, here, Miss Kitty Space, we had questioned whether or not she was going to, pick her fellow international queen's lipsticks despite her having a weaker track record. And it turns out she did. She chose to save her friend, revealing to all that she chose Arizona Brandy to go home. Like, gasp. Or, if this was Big Brother 27, gasp. Um, Clearly, I think everybody at this point, especially the Filipino queens, were a little shocked and they were feeling some type of way. And I was gonna ask you initially, did Kitty just blow up her entire game at this moment here? But I mean, we saw the ultimate result. So, how much of effect do you think this ultimately had on Kitty going home at the end of this episode? Because I'm like, this was the talk of the episode here at this point.
I think, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, and that's all I think we have to say about this. You played a stupid game, you won a stupid prize. Congratulations, you're the winner of this stupid prize. Like, is there anything else
Yeah.
I can say about it? Like it is what it is.
Like, I guess if here's my thing is I guess if maybe if I was someone that was more prepared to come into some, like, if I was an all-around assassin, right? Say I'm like, for whatever reason, I'm Nymphia Wind, right? And I'm coming into this season and I'm here and I'm ready to just go for broke and just take out all the Filipino queens, whatnot. I'm gonna make sure that, I have a plethora of skills in my arsenal, you know, because these Filipino queens, they're very strong. Clearly, they're very good at everything that they've pretty much done for the most part. There's been maybe one minor slip up amongst the five of them the entire time here. I think everything else they've done here has been pretty good. So to position yourself against them so early just felt like just oh, like I get it. You do want to save your friend. I'm all about friendship, but like, you know,
Friendship,
did
it's everything.
Ivory give you a sparkly top? If not, then
Uh,
it's not a real true friendship.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, a girl made her choice. She said, I would like to fuck around and find out. She fucked around, she found out. Right? Like, that's all there is to it. I mean, come on. Like, how are you going to act like we didn't see this one coming, right? Like, it was clear as day, I think, for the rest of us to be like, that was a choice. That was shady because the Filipino queens so far have been very, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay. They've said we're going to try to play honorably. We're going to try to, eliminate one for one, like the girls when they deserve it on the track record. And that's been the thing so far. Everyone has gone based upon track record until now.
And it was Kitty that said to break that seal, and it wasn't like in a an Alyssa Edwards way where it felt like she was justified. Like this didn't feel justified at all
Oh
whatsoever. You're gonna try
no.
to take out somebody who was in the top two the week prior, and versus someone who was just in the bottom two the week before. Oof,
It
not a good
was
look.
it was terrible. I was like, "Oh, so you want to go home next?" Is what I heard. That's what I heard at least.
I
And
mean, maybe she was missing France. Maybe
maybe
she
she
wanted
was missing
some
France.
escargot, or I don't
Maybe
know.
she should have just taken herself out if she wanted that, you know? I couldn't understand the decision if you paid me. I don't get it. I was confused as to why she had chosen Arizona as lipstick, other than the fact that she wanted only international girls to stay because the only ones that had gone were international girls. And I was like, look, no one was like, hey, let's get at the international girls. It was just everyone has been going off of track record. And you could still make the point that, yeah, they're definitely still going for the international girls. You could totally make that. Right? I could see that in a million years. Like it's totally possible. But at the same time, what are you getting from this? Because it doesn't look like anything good.
It feels less. It would be a conspiracy theory, and more of them actually feeling like they're actually playing an honorable game, just based off of at least what I've seen the first three episodes. But you know, I mean, we could kind of circle back around to how this ultimately all became here for Miss Kitty's Space because you were talking about stupid games, and for their mini challenge. They definitely didn't play a stupid game. I think they played the best game that they've played all season. Because, any
Disagree.
game that involves the pit crew is always going to be the best game. So, yeah, this
Not for
this
me.
this was the perfect game for us to have here. I don't even remember what happened here, but we had the four pit crew members come in, and then we had free merch from Mama Pal where clearly they rigged that wheel shot when she got it the second time. Like they very clearly were there to give them the free
Wow, I
merch.
can't believe you'd say that they would rig
I
something.
know. How
Who
could I
are
say that? Oh
you?
my god.
You're the
But
worst.
the real question is though, Jack, what color are you picking? Because I think I'm picking. I was gonna pick red initially, but I think I've realized something. That I do. You think I really like the young Twinkie boys, Jack, and I do. But something about an older Twinkie guy that's kind of a little more interesting to me. So I like B. He's feeling a little more pumped at the gym. I'm feeling that. I think I go
Who?
B. Go look in the chat. We put the pictures
No, you said red before.
there.
Now you said B.
No, I said red. Oh, did I say B? I meant blue. We're gonna go blue.
Yeah, yeah. See how it didn't make any sense? I'm not going any of them personally. Like, I
Are you
just don't
picking
really.
Mama Pow? Are you taking the free merch?
I'm taking the free merch, baby. Give me the free merch because like this company is like sponsoring the whole season, so I want the money. Give me the free merch.
I mean, they didn't give you the cash prize for winning the challenge. You just get the free merch. You just get the plushie and the
Yeah,
t-shirt.
but I could win a whole like I could be like, hey, can I be like one of your brand sponsors when I win the season? And I'd be like, you know what? That's smart. Yes, and I'd be like, yes, we gotta lock in that money, baby.
Well,
First and foremost.
I should say then. Speaking of best challenges, then, did you think this Rusical stood up to the test of time as being one of the best Rusicals ever? And actually, before we
Um,
get into that part, because that's part of like the your opinion. I don't think I've ever actually asked you, Jack. What is your opinion on musical theater? Like, are you even a musical fan? And if so, like, what is your musical of choice?
so I like certain musicals. I'm a big fan of some of that corny shit. But the problem is, there's a place and time for certain kinds of acting, and theater acting is very different than like on the screen acting, right? So I feel like I do enjoy it in certain aspects, but I'm not like I wasn't the biggest theater person. I did do theater when I was in high school, but and that started actually in like middle school, but like that doesn't matter. Um,
Wow, what a nerd.
right, I know. But I think really the most important thing here was like it's about kind of acting a fool and not willing about what you look like on stage. And so for me, I enjoy that aspect of musical theater. I like when people completely commit to something. So I'm a fan in that regard. I really love when someone's like, I'm gonna willing to do like anything it takes to like really bring that character alive. And I was like, okay, I can get behind this. So some of my favorite musicals are Funny Girl, um, let's see, Into the Woods for sure. And let me just top off with something else. Oh, my favorite musical of all time is Avenue Q, actually.
Oh, so
That one.
she's slightly sounds like she's slightly invested in her musicals,
I
huh?
know some musicals, but I am like, here's the like how people are like, oh, you're anti-gay. I don't like Rent. It's not for
Ooh,
me. Yep,
ooh.
I know.
I was
Cancel
gonna
me now if you
say
want.
I did have a that obligatory period I think in every gay's life where you have 525,600
Mm-mm.
minute period where you're addicted to Rent, you know. So I did
Never
have
me,
that
but
period in
love that for
college.
y'all.
It was fun. I mean, it was mostly because I love Rosario Dawson and she was in it, so that's what mainly attracted me to it. And love Adina Menzel here as well too. Love Adina.
Uh-huh. I
Hmm.
can tell.
We can tell. You totally can tell. We love Adina. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a fun musical idea, though, I think.
So
So,
basically, when they're making these decisions and whatnot, we get told these characters. They're a lot of them are funny, and they make it seem like each one has a different song. And I guess they kind of do, but it's more like it's a continuous song the whole time, and they eventually just like get to your part is what it feels like to me, anyways. And funnily enough, CM has this decision because she won the mini challenge, and she has to give someone a disadvantage, in which she gave it to Venus, and I was like, Venus getting a disadvantage is like, okay, that makes sense. You know, she's the girl in first place. It makes sense, right? Like, give the girl who's the biggest competition the disadvantage. But honestly, for me, she got the part I wanted. I wanted to be the like messy girl who was the Mary girl who was like in charge of marrying the people. I was like, I want to also be given the side eyes to people and asking what the tea is. Like that was the role I wanted. So I felt like it was like last week with Suki where it was just I got the part I wanted. I got the color I wanted. Like that's how I looked at it.
yeah, these disadvantages so far have literally just been advantages for them because they're able to say, "Oh, look, I have a disadvantage and I got stuck with this." Even though, and literally, I think Arizona literally said that in hers.
I mean,
So it's
when you think about it, like the disadvantages could affect them, but I just think the choices that the girls are making maybe they seem like good decisions, but at the same time, like none of the girls seem to have really been affected by the disadvantages thus far, or at least not negatively impacted.
Well, I was going to say,
Um,
speaking of decisions, I think someone ends up making a decision that they come to kind of regret here at one point. That wasn't Brigiding, though. She took the lead role because she decided that this was kind of her moment. Like, she needed a standout moment, I think, this season. And she had an emotional moment in the workroom where she got to kind of describe the fact that she did try to come to the US after her season, like a lot of the other Rue girls did at their point in time. And I think Yuha even said that like she saw a lot of the other girls at DragCon LA and she didn't see Brigading there. And I thought that was kind of very important for her to bring up because she was kind of talking early on in the season that she was kind of, struggling with a few things here and there, but I don't think she ever got in depth with what it was. So it was nice to get a little bit more character arc here from Miss Ding and kind of learn a little bit more about, why this whole process is important to her here, especially because we initially kind of counted her out as one of the girls that we figured might be like a if they have to sacrifice someone from the Philippines, it might be Miss Ding. And I'm kind of maybe turning around that maybe she could be a player this season. Did you like her idea here to try to go big or go home basically?
yes, I think if you're really trying to get that spotlight like she is, I think this is the perfect opportunity. She has the chops for it. She knows what she's doing. Look, they talked about how she's a big entertainer and probably the best known entertainer in the drag scene community in the Philippines before Drag Race. And so I think it was a great decision for her to really like step up to the plate, try to get whatever she can. And obviously, you had CM getting the first pick. So then why not when you're going down the list be like, I want this part, so I'm gonna fight for this part, and it's a big part and it's a big role, and no one really cared, no one wanted it, so she went for it, and look where it did for her. She did a great job in the Rusical, and she literally got to the top because of it. I
Yeah.
think Brigiding is just here's the thing. Brigiding is an amazing drag queen. Sometimes though, amazing drag queens aren't always the best when it comes to drag race. And I'm not saying she's ever done. She's not. She is. It's not that she's done bad on Drag Race or anything. It's just sometimes they don't always translate over the skills as seamlessly, right? So I think this is a great idea for her to be like, you know what? Let me give my 2 cents. Let me try this. Let me try to stand out. And it worked for her.
Hmm. And I would say in the kind of the opposite vein, a decision that maybe went sideways. Although to be honest, I'm not exactly sure if said individual had any parts that they may have been successful in a lip syncing situation here,
Oh,
and
baby.
that's Miss Kitty Space. And she decides with Arizona Brandy to trade parts. And I'll be honest, I kind of missed a little bit of the conversation here. I forget. Is this a strategic move on Miss Arizona to offer this up to Kitty halfway through? Because that's what it seemed like.
So basically, Arizona wanted this part. She's like, my like second part or whatever that I wanted was actually the part that Kitty got. And after last week's, she was like, I'm still gonna go for it. I'm gonna ask her kindly, I'm gonna ask her politely, see what happens. And Kitty feels like, you know what, I did try to send you home, so let me try to make this amends right now, and I will give you this part because I know I can do well in any part. And I said, I love her confidence.
Joella 2.0
A
right here.
very much like, she thinks good of like high of herself. That's a good thing. Sometimes we need to really reflect because maybe our sisters don't always tell us the truth. And this is a time where one of her sisters needed to let her know that, like, hey, after last week where you couldn't do your lip sync at all and you didn't know the words, are you gonna be on that this week? Like maybe they needed a workroom like visit to ask her about it. Like, hey, we know you struck. What are you gonna do this week? Maybe it happened, maybe you didn't see it. But like the point is, I don't know if it was necessarily strategic on Arizona's part. I mean, maybe it was a good idea to like try to see if she's gonna get, this part from her, but she said she just went in there asking, and that was that. And I can't blame her for that because you got to try to get yours. And if I were Kitty, I would have never given away the part that I wanted because and don't forget when the girls all decided it and it was over. So this was happening on the side after the girls were already learning their parts and stuff. So like now you're gonna have even less time to learn your part, which we know Kitty needs every single second, every minute, every hour that she can get.
Ooh,
Clearly,
I mean,
I mean,
true,
well, let's be
true,
real.
true.
Like even the girls when they were rehearsing the choreo were like, "Oh, Kitty is struggling. I don't know how she's gonna do." But
Hmm.
anyways, so I don't know if I'd say necessarily it's the most strategic decision as much as it just was, let's see if I can get the part I wanted. And Kitty is once again kind of a pushover. So
Hmm. Well,
it's just a bad
yeah.
decision.
One thing I do want to ask really quickly, just before we get into the runway here, is someone that I'm very kind of surprised. It feels like they started out the season with a bang. I was very fully expecting this to become like their show. Instead, it's been like the Arizona Brandy show. And I'm very kind of surprised that it feels like Khianna has kind of disappeared into the background here. I'm slightly concerned because it feels like out of all the girls here, like she got no focus this episode, like at all. She hasn't really had any kind of story at all whatsoever. Maybe it starts next week as we kind of see the preview, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But where's Khianna?
Khianna was just slightly in the episode. She was the first one to give the votes when it was them acting out the parts to decide who got it. And I believe she was the one that actually commented uh, on what was her name, Kitty's like issues with the choreography. But the thing is here, the episodes do a very good job of showing us who's going to be like either in the bottom or the top by like kind of focusing on them a lot during the episode. And so far what we've seen, and Khianna won the first episode by a landslide. Khianna should have been on the top on the second episode, but she was safe. And I was like, okay, a little strange. Khianna did a great job in the design challenge, and Khianna was now safe here, which it was very clear that Khianna should have been either top or safe. So it was just kind of one of these. Khianna's kind of missed out on being in the top, but let's not act like we forgot about her because we were all like, oh, she did it. She's here. So I think it's just she has a consistency of like being on that top high kind of thing, like top safe or high kind of moments in these episodes. And I think if they do it too much, Khianna just becomes the clear front runner because there is a world where you could literally give out um Khianna as a technically high in every single episode. So if you do that, you know, that's a lot to say. And also, you don't want to make it too boring for the viewers because everyone deserves a shot. And I think sometimes, and this could just be me, there is some bias, even when it comes to us, obviously. Like, I love Khianna. Um, but there could be bias also with judging where it's like, Khianna's that bitch. So you expect Khianna to do better than other girls. And so maybe there's like a bar set for her that she has to reach above that bar. And that bar is much higher for her than other girls because let's be real, some of these queens have been sliding by underneath the bar very, very much so.
Just say Yuha's name. It's totally fine.
I was only going to say Yuha in terms of the um what was it? Oh, the runway especially. But yeah. I mean, Yuha did fine in the musical. I think a lot of people did well in the musical, but I think what really it came down to is that just some girls didn't capture our attention in the same way. And so Khianna's not maybe the focus point. That's fine. Everyone gets their like kind of moment. I mean, we got to see Brigiding's kind of like her being a character this episode, right? She didn't really have too much to say in all the other episodes. Maybe a little bit more per episode than what Khianna did this one, but she still isn't like one of the like biggest speakers in terms of everyone having their confessionals. So
Mm-hmm.
far, I should say, anyways.
And I was gonna say it is turning the Arizona Brandy show, but it's also a situation where it's like Arizona Brandy has literally either been like top or bottom in like every single episode so far. So it's like, yeah, it
Exactly.
makes sense to why she's getting focus here. I'm intrigued to see an episode what it looks like when she's not the top or bottom, if it's still like the same focus or not. So, and it does kind of feel like this episode was kind of a conclusion a little bit to an Arizona storyline, but we can get into that into a few moments here because Jack, I know you're dying to talk about this runway here. So let's go ahead and we can go ahead and hit the runway here for our yes or mess segment. And this week, our category is Happy Face-tival, which is a look with multiple faces. And Jack, who stood out here and who stood out for the wrong reasons?
Okay, so we already said it. Let's say it again. The person who stood out for the wrong reasons is Yuha. Yuha's outfit was looking, she called her one drag option, right? What'd she call it? She said it was not roadkill, it was something else. What was that word that she used? Oh
Oh,
God, she's
bootleg.
bootleg, baby. It was giving bootleg. I was like, this looks bad. You can see the cutoffs. Nothing was blended together. I understood the reference. Let's be real though, this was cheap, especially when we saw Khianna do it better on this runway alone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Well,
shit.
she even says in her thing, she's like, "Oh, I've decided to take this in a different direction and go the substance." And it's like, Khianna just said that like 2 minutes before you walked out here, girl.
Yeah, that they were setting her up a little bit with that confessional. They didn't need to show us that confessional, but they could have skipped that part out. But they said, you know what, let's show what it was, right? And so I don't know. I felt like it was just a mess. It was the worst thing ever that on this runway this week. Okay, then we had some girls who just looked very similar, and I want to point out specifically that I'm talking about Kitty Space and Bernie, who both just kind of glued heads onto their shoulders. We've seen this a million times. It just feels like they just did it and like put on a nice outfit, and they were like, you know what? But let me put these on my shoulders. Bam. Because I was like, what was the reference? Kitty was like, this represents my family, and I was like, no one would have got that without you telling us it's supposed to be your family because it's just heads on faces. At least like CM did this where she like had a nice outfit on, but then she had this huge like I headpiece slash neck piece slash shoulder piece thing going on, just like, and she had heads on like each side of it, which one of them kind of fell, and they were like, oh. And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. Like it is a deal, but like I don't
No,
think
it's
that's
big enough
a
to put her in the
huge
bottom three because that's literally the only critique she got this week is that her head fell over on her mannequin.
girl. She deserved the bottom three for the musical performance. Not that she did a terrible job, just like if we have to give someone a bottom three performance, it was easily going to be her because I was like, well, it's definitely Bernie and Kitty because yes. But so Khianna looked great. We saw that. That was a very fun look. Brigiding. Brigiding starts the whole thing off, and I feel bad for all the girls. She
Mm.
is like a stoned angel thing, just completely gray. The first side we see of her is not her, and the judges didn't know that. The judges had no clue. She's like
Oh, I
holding these
thought it was
other
her
faces.
too. I straight up thought it
Yeah.
was her.
That's how good it was. That's how fucking good it was. And now let's talk about the only person on this runway who I think did a better job than her, who just narrowly clinched this by Suki motherfucking doll. This
Yes.
bitch got into her lore. She said, "Let me show you something about my Asian heritage." One of these stories. She has five faces, all hanging essentially, right? She has herself in the middle, and then she has four other masks that go around this beautiful headpiece. These dragons kind of going through, and the hair. Did you notice that the hair went into the headpiece and swirled up into the dragon stuff? I mean, it was just immaculate. And her garment. I mean, white, red, gray, black. These just beautifully fashioned everywhere. It was so beautiful, and it was like kimono esque, right? And there was beautiful stoning on the sleeves and the drapery, and just it was just so good. I was like, I can't even clock her. She looked amazing. She had this full ass like white face with the red through the top of the mouth down, and it just I mean, it was stunning. This is like, you know what? She said, "I'm gonna make my mark." She didn't say, "I'm gonna do drag, whatever." She said, "I'm gonna show you my drag for real. This is my drag." And I believed every second of it. I said, "Suki doll, you are a winner, baby. Put her in the top," even though she was
Mhm.
not in the top this week. I mean, and rightfully so, she wasn't in the top though,
You know what it's
because
giving me though? Like it you know how like Overwatch, I don't know if you ever played Overwatch.
everyone's played
They've basically
Overwatch. Come
done
on.
they do their different costumes and whatnot, and they always have like that one heritage piece for each girl. Like if Suki Doll was an Overwatch character, this would be her heritage piece. Like it's so good. It's so good.
This actually reminds me of a piece that I have seen on Dragula, mind you. One of the queens who've been on Dragula, she did a piece that was similar to this, had like a bunch of different faces and whatnot. And I just think that she just really reminded me of uh, that kind of style. Like I saw you knew it was her. It was Neoharu X, I believe is how you say her name. And she did a piece very similar to this. She's also Asian, and so she just I don't know. It gave me that kind of vibe. It gave me a Dragula vibe, and it was just so good. I can't say enough good things about Suki Doll's look. It was just fantastic.
Hmm.
Okay, it was
Yes,
amazing.
Sugi did really good here, but yeah, I would agree with you. I think that she was probably not in the top four, for good reason. I do think the safes, at least Suki and Yuha, I do agree with. I do want to make a case for Kiana, but I do think that's also slightly biased. And also, I was noticing outside of the like her moment when she's a hoe, she's a hoe, she's a hoe. Maybe that was the funniest one of the funnier parts for me. So maybe that is slightly encouraging this decision, but I did notice when she was in the background for a lot of the scenes, she wasn't really acting. She literally felt like she was waiting for like her moment she came on, and then like I kind of just felt like she was mostly kind of standing and not really giving as much as maybe she could. And I think the maybe the key for the top three is they were giving at all times, and they were giving characters outside of maybe one of them that was something unexpected, slightly outside of their character.
I
So
mean, look,
I can't argue
Kiana
with the safes.
Khianna not making it top three is fine for this episode, right? She would have been the next girl up there though. Like
Mhm.
no chance in my mind that anyone else would have been. It's just she killed it. But that being said, I think Suki kind of got lucky as well, and just because she didn't do the best in the musical, but she did commit in the background at least. But when it was her part, I didn't feel like the same stage presence from her. But I think we all agreed that like the top or the bottom two had to be Bernie and Kitty. Bernie wasn't really showing us the emotion a lot of the time, or she was like giving us one note emotion kind of thing. She didn't go as far as she could with this character, right? She was trying to be snappy and fun, but it was just too Bernie-esque and not enough of the actual character. And Kitty, once again, didn't know any of her lip sync. What's that? What's that about? I
Crazy.
mean, CM kind of messed up her characters. There just wasn't enough characterization, but she also had a better runway than both of them, and I do think she had a better performance technically overall. Maybe Bernie outdid her in the musical, maybe, but like after the runway, it was especially clear that the bottom two were the correct bottom two,
Yeah, I don't
and
know if I just I mean, I definitely agree the top two or the bottom two was definitely correct. I don't know if CM was as bad in the musical as you're saying that she was. I didn't really see anything negative for her personally, but like, I mean, I would have stuck you all there because they need to call her out on these runways. Like
okay,
they need to say
I
something.
agree that U-Haul did poorly on the runway, but the challenge she did extremely well in giving us a lot of energy. I just think CM was very passive in her energy on the musical. That's where I think the issue was. It's not that I want her there. It's just and they try to be like, "Oh, your head fell off." Like it really was like a kind of picking hairs at that kind of moment because they were like, "We know the bottom two. Now we just kind of have to decide who else is there."
Actually, just kidding. I probably would have made the case probably for Suki to be that third person based off what we said earlier. But yeah, that runway I couldn't put her in the bottom for that runway when we have, you know, CM's falling over.
If
Yeah,
she was
I'm fine with the bottom three. I'm fine
she
with
would
it.
have had to have been Kitty Space levels of bad performing to be in the bottom two, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, I mean I think the bottom two is locked, so whoever they stuck low,
Yeah.
it's just kind of semantics at this point. But
Oh,
as
definitely.
far as like the top two, um, here's the thing. And we could go maybe in order of how well they did. I do think Arizona Brandy probably was the standout of the night. I do think Kitty is crazy to give away this part because it was
Crazy.
easily one of the
Stupid.
funnier parts in it. It had nothing but
Mhm.
innuendos the entire time, and it's just such a part that you could your character is right there, right? You just have to play into it a little bit, and it's like it's there, girl. Like it's there. So I don't know what Kitty was thinking when she gave this up, especially giving up to Arizona, who is clearly like the character actress of this group. So yeah,
Right.
she did her thing and she showed that her bottom last week was deserved, but was just one of those bumps on the road to get there. So I think she proved why she should be, why she should still be here. I don't think I disagree with her winning this challenge at all.
No, definitely not. And Arizona or Kitty giving up the role that is literally Chef Lee cum queen is crazy. Um uh, all and actually a lot of these roles, no one actually was like fighting over it. Only a couple times that they had to like decide who's it. And like Raquel Achu being Brigiding, like the only person who wanted that kind of thing, she got an amazing part. She did a great job. Like I was like, okay, great. And
She
Venus,
did, but I do think she started out for me a little bit, maybe not playing to the cameras as much as she could. I noticed a lot in her opening number where it didn't seem like she was facing us at all, so I couldn't tell when she was
yes,
lip syncing or
she
not.
was facing too much
So
back, but
I felt her opening was really, really rough, but by the time the second half came in, it felt like she really hit her stride. It felt like she was really acting in all the parts that they had her in throughout like the background or like the semi background since she was kind of always like a prop kind of in people's scenes sort of. So I do get why she is in the top. I do agree that I'm not going to take her win away from her. I do think she did a great job. I do think I just maybe would have put Venus in the top. I just really thought Venus was hilarious the whole time with her wig and whatnot. She was playing every moment she could from that character,
oh, Venus was
and it was
everything.
just
Venus was
I
easily winning like the supporting actress role of the year.
yeah, like it was really really good. Like to the point where I think it was better than how Brigiding did in the top. But like I also understand we can't put Venus in the top 3 weeks in a
A
row. Or
third
sorry,
time
we
in a
can't give
row.
her a third badge now, right? We
No one
can't do
else is
that.
going to win the season at this point. You know, like Venus already won the season if we give her a third week in a row, but she's doing amazing this competition. I give her a break. The only reason I think she really did was because they didn't like her runway. They were like, I just didn't think it was that dramatic without like the reveal. But I was also like, that's like saying like if Brigiding didn't do her reveal, it wouldn't have been as good. Like, yes. To me, I was like, yes, it is indeed a reveal. Like, that's kind of part of the runway and like how it had to go because she had planned it that way. But I know that we all have differences on this. Do I think her runway was the top of the week? No. Do I think it was bad? Definitely not. I loved it. So she getting the third place, I understand since they critiqued her on that runway thing.
Mhm. So yeah, ultimately, just to kind of recap, top two ends up being Arizona Brandy and Brigiding, and our bottom two is Bernie and Kitty Space, and they end up syncing to "Cartoon Heroes" by Aqua, the Barbie Girl group, and I've never heard the song before. Not sure I want to hear it again. I can't imagine why Aqua isn't still making music to this day, but
I,
this felt like an
that's
Arizona song choice, or like an Arizona song choice, like from start to finish, because it's a song that she could kind of camp up. And Brigiding went a little too serious for me for the song, like far too serious for me in the song. It was just like I think the moment she pulled out that fake mustache that was part of her hair or necklace, was it her necklace? I don't remember what it was. Either way, the
It
mustache
was part of her
sold it.
hair. That was the mustache. Yeah, it was over as soon as that happened.
Yeah, so Arizona Brandy ends up winning. Uh, she gets her redemption moment from last week, gets her badge officially, and now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Will Arizona take her revenge? And yes, she does, because she pulls Kitty's lipstick, and wow, can we say that I don't think any of us were shocked. I don't think any of us really thought that Bernie was going to go home. Like, it felt like there is a possibility Bernie could have gone home, but yeah, this felt like it was Kitty's time from start to finish, and they kind of relished in it this episode a little bit.
Look, Kitty did a great job last week, and I love that she had her moment. But let's be real, Kitty this whole season has been very not good. Even though she quote unquote, and I do say quote unquote, and I mean quote unquote, was in the, I guess if you want to say top on the first episode, she was quote unquote high during this episode. I was like, I don't know. It was a runway episode, so I was like, fair enough, fair enough. I wasn't like gagging, but you know, I ranked her low, so I I mean, I was shook. I put her as probably my bottom three for that episode. But then she was safe on a girl group challenge where she was only safe because everyone else in her group sucked. And then she won last week's episode, so she had faded into the background super hard for all of us until last week when she did something well, right? And they kind of told her, they said, "Hey, you were just like in the background. We didn't notice you at all on the scene of it all." And then she gets eliminated this episode after she had picked Arizona to go home last episode, even though Arizona has done extremely well in the competition thus far. If you look at Arizona's track record, it was high, win, then a bottom two. She has a much better track record than Kitty's friend Ivory Glaze, who could have also been bottom the whole time and was only a bottom two twice. Like, it was crazy. I mean, Kitty was just like she played a game. She got caught for this is the same thing as when Monet picked uh, Manila's lipstick in season 4 of All Stars. It's the same thing. If you fuck around, you're gonna find out eventually.
hmm Well, I will have to say this leads us to a very interesting next time segment that we can kind of end our podcast on some final thoughts for, because we do find out that it's going to be the makeover challenge, where I guess it's going to be Filipinos from overseas, which I don't know what that means. Does that mean it's going to be like Filipinos outside of the Philippines that are going to be there? Native people from the Philippines that are, I, where would they be going overseas to? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we figured that part out. But we do get Alyssa Edwards and captivating Cat as our guest judges, which should be exciting. But the most exciting part about this is it looks like there might be some pushback between the Filipino girls because Khianna actually might seem to think that Kitty should have stayed. Gasp. Do we think that there will be some tension between the Filipino girls next week? Will we ever see an international girl get a badge? Will we ever see an international girl not go home, Jack? There are so many questions.
I
What are
mean,
your thoughts going into last week or next week?
let's talk about it. Khianna. Okay, Khianna let us know early on. I love Khianna. Khianna let us know early on. She said, "I am dumb," and I was like, "Per, like, love that you know this about yourself." But you could not be in the same situation as Arizona Brandy and think to yourself, "You know what? If I stumble again after having like 17 good weeks in a row, and this bitch cuts me immediately," kind of thing, like. I mean, she probably didn't have to worry because we all saw that Kitty Space couldn't lip sync. But at the end of the day, this isn't a tit for tat thing. This is a you started some shit. I'm gonna finish this shit. And so I don't know if Kiana's gonna like make a huge deal out of it. Maybe Bernie will feel away. Maybe but like Khianna is just saying she wants to play very fair. But how do you play fair when someone just played in your face and played unfairly? I don't know. For me, I could have never picked Bernie's lipstick after I saw this happen. Had it been against someone else who had not been doing well in the competition, like if it had been Yuha up there, then yeah, I would have picked the Yuha instead of Bernie. But at this point, there were very few girls who would have a worse track record than Bernie at this point, just because a lot of the girls have gone. And I don't want to say we've gotten rid of the filler, but it does feel like we're getting rid of some of the filler, right? And I know that feels bad because it's the international girls, but at the same time, like none of them have brought it so far. So what are we doing? Like Kitty brought it last week in the design challenge, but outside of a runway and a design, she can't do anything. Her performance challenges have been both bad, very bad.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I don't see any issue there. But what I do want to talk about actually, funnily enough, with Kitty Space going home as our French queen, there was a little drama that happened today between one of our other French queens who had something to say about the show. Did you see anything from our two-time pork chop girl, La Kahena?
Oh, Miss Kahena is out there causing some drama. Miss Isabel Kahena. What'd she say? What'd she do?
La Kahena tweeted, and she said, "This season is rigged against the international queens. The Filipino girls are getting so much favoritism, kind of thing. It's really unfair." And she said, "I will not be watching this show anymore because of the favoritism." And I was like, well, first of all, like no disrespect, but a lot of the girls gathered her in the comments and let her know that it was not cool to diminish the work of the Filipino queens to like say that they don't deserve to be there over other girls just because. And I do think it's interesting that as soon as the one French queen goes home, that's when Locke had to open her trap kind of thing. Just saying. Like, isn't that interesting? But I mean, look, here's the thing. The Filipino queens have all done very consistently well so far. Bernie is technically the worst ranked, where she's had 3 episodes safe and one bottom two. I mean, technically, you could say that Kitty has a better track record than her because of her win and technically a high placing. Now, again, I didn't believe in that high placing. I was here for her win, but honestly, I feel like her performances have been just her getting by on the fact that other girls were worse. And this is a second performance challenge in a row where like she did not deliver at all. And last week, that lip sync alone, where she didn't know any of the words, and she was just giving us like roadkill on the side, baby, while Venus ate her up. I was like, this is almost as bad as a loss to me personally. I just think it's disrespectful not to know your words, especially when the girl whose song it is right there. When you like, I don't know. I was like, it was that quote. It was like, it was a 7-word chorus or whatever. like,
Yeah,
like
it's literally like different words that rhyme with winner. Like
it was
you
like,
could literally
I'm your
just
winner, winner. I'm your chicken dinner. And she didn't even get that right every single time. So I was like,
yeah, that's I mean,
I
eh,
don't know. So for me, I
it's kind
wasn't
of comical
caring.
coming from Locana.
I know that's why I was like, I don't know if a girl who's never done well in one challenge should talk, but I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was interesting. And maybe it has nothing to do with the French connection. Maybe it just has to do with the fact that she feels like it's only for the Filipino queens to win, which we all have said from the start. But here's the thing: it's Philippines versus the world.
Yeah,
No
and
one
she was
seems to
on
complain
Canada
as
versus
much.
the world. She
Yeah.
should know what it's like to be on a season where the homegirls get somewhat a little bit more of a push sometimes, even though I would say I do think Lemon is completely justified in her
Oh,
win. I do
easily.
think maybe the challenges might have skewed a little bit in her direction, but she still has to perform. So
But I mean,
is what
two
it
of these
is. But
challenges have been in Kitty Space's direction, if you want to say, right? Like she had a runway challenge and a design challenge. So I'm
for
like,
sure.
it's not like she is in any like it's been terrible. It's just, unfortunately, she has not delivered. And that's just the tea of it. And the Filipino queens have all delivered. All of them have multiple high or win placements other than Bernie. And it's not that Bernie's been doing bad, she just hasn't been standing out, which but then we also have people like Yuha who have been in the bottom and I mean, no one's talking about. Everyone was like, "Why is Yuha going to pass?" Because I was like, "You going to talk about it, her too, or are we just going to ignore that?"
Well,
So
I
I
mean,
just
it's not like any of the boots have been shocking, like at
not
all,
really.
really. Like I think we like preseason, we even said like seems like it's very much so just based off of the casting alone. When you have the lowest placing Filipino girl being seventh place, and that's the highest placing international girl's place, like it's just very clear that most of the international girls just unfortunately they don't have the same experience on Drag Race as the other girls do that have been
Hmm.
picked from the Philippines, and at the same time though too, I don't know if they also are just they just unfortunately might not be as good as the other girls at Drag Race. That doesn't mean
Well,
it's rigged, but it's very much so. Or there's favoritism. Do I think that they want a Filipino queen win? Yes, because that's obviously kind of how they cast the season. But it's Irene the Alien, perfect example of a first boot who comes back and dominates. It's not
yeah,
outside the woodwork for that to come true, and we never got to see half of what Irene had in her bag. Same with a lot of these people. So there's a lot of opportunities for them to prove themselves. It's just, are they going to step up to the plate and do it?
yeah. I mean, so at the end of the day, when Kahena made this, I just think it was really tone deaf on her part, and I just wanted to bring it up because I was like, I don't know if this is going to get the traction that it deserves, but I just think it's unfair to say like I'm going to stop watching this season because honestly, I think this season has been amazing so far. It's like in my top seasons of the year. Like it's
Hmm.
great. And I know I have some bias because I love the Philippine Queens, but you have to remember that at the end of the day, also we talk about the diversity issues that exist in the drag race space sometimes when it comes to queens of color, when it comes to Asian queens, when it comes to trans queens, kind of thing, right? And so this is an all Asian season, which means the roster of people that could be selected who've already competed on a drag race season is limited to begin with. Also, it's not like we can just I mean, could we have pulled like a bunch of Thailand girls? Yes. But then wouldn't that have really felt like versus the world, or would it have just been Philippines versus Thailand? So there are limited choices, but I don't think it's fair to take it out on the fact that the Filipino girls are getting favoritism. That's all I want to bring up is like it's not fair because let's be real, every week I am gagged and gooped by someone on this competition, and most of the time it is a girl from the Philippines.
Right. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, everything's entertaining at this point. And you're right, there is a certain pool, unfortunately, that is limited that they have to choose from. I was actually thinking last night before I was going to bed. I was like thinking of like future content ideas. I was like, oh, Slaysian Royale too, and I'm like, but wait a minute. There's like only like maybe five other franchises that have another Asian queen to pick from.
Yeah,
So it's
or
like
like
that wish list video is going to be very small, unfortunately,
I
or
mean,
it's
you
going to
got
be all like
Thailand.
international seasons, right? Yeah,
Right. So
but
and I mean, look, there are a number of queens from the seasons that have been around longer. There are a few more options in the UK. There are a few more options in um obviously the US kind of thing. But some of these
Canada, Aurora
Yes,
Matrix, most
but
namely stands out
some
as
of
like a
these,
name that I feel like would have been like someone if they would have put on the cast.
I
Probably
just
would
think
have
some
give
of
these
these
girls more fair
countries
money.
haven't had that many like seasons thus far. You know, like
Yeah.
how many seasons has Belgique have, right? How many seasons does do they have in comparison? You
I mean,
know, like
even
even
France,
Thailand
we
only
only
has
have
three.
three. We only have three in
Right.
France too.
So
You know.
there's a limit when it comes to some of these. Obviously, UK has more than Germany has more than France, but like in time, hopefully we'll get more diversity so we can have another Slaysian Royale. But for now, this is what we got, and I don't think it's fair to complain. Like, should they have only picked girls who got seventh place or less on the Philippines just to make it fair? Like, that's stupid. Why would we? Why would
Agreed.
we prevent girls from coming back who want a chance?
Yeah, I don't think necessarily again your placement it does play a huge role, I think, in certain aspects, but it's not to say there isn't room for a surprise ever. So I think maybe this is coming from a place of someone who maybe has more to show in their own career that just again over 2 seasons hasn't had the opportunity to do so. So let's bring back Kahena again for a third time and send her home first. So maybe she'll
Oh,
be feeling okay and not
bring
have
her
to
back
be
for
so
France All Stars to go home first.
just playing there, but if you're hopefully the response that she got back it was more so like let me just let me just tell you the real tea versus like give you some hate over your opinion. Some people have some
I
wild
gathered
opinions out
her.
there, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not necessarily everybody's place to sit there and try to correct everybody at every single point. But maybe a situation like this probably deserves it. But
Definitely.
as far as everything goes here, I agree with you. I don't. This is by far easily one of the best seasons that we've had in the last 5 years alone, without a doubt for sure. So I'm very invested in the season. I'm having a good time. I don't see anything wrong here. And as far as I'm concerned, I think I just need the international girls to step up. Who will be the first one to win? Because there's only three left. They're running out of time. Um, So, you know, I say as always, I can't wait to see how this turns out, and hopefully y'all can either, especially if you made it this far. Thanks again so much for listening, y'all. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment below on your thoughts on who will be the first international girl to break that curse, or will it just never happen? Could this be a Slaysian Royale of international girls for the Filipino girls, and we're just gonna have a final five of all Filipino girls? Would not hate it, but comment below, let me know what y'all think. And until next time, and on behalf of my co-caster QuackrrJack, this is Renegayde signing out. And remember, keep doing that to y'all. Mabu bye.
Bye bye.